Okay, so we're approaching towards the end of most of the concepts. I've got to talk about modes. What we did in the last videos, we kind of broke it apart and said, okay, if we focus on one chord and make that the home chord, and then we can change the scales around, or depending on which shape you play over that chord, you can get a different modal sound. So the next logical thing to think about is, well, how can we extend that up and down the neck? So it's fairly simple. If we say, for argument's sake, we'll go for A major as our home chord. If we want to play a major sound over it, we start with shape 1. Okay, and then if you want to extend the shapes, you want to move up the neck, you go up to shape 2, go up to shape 3, go up to shape 4, etc. If you wanted to go down, you'd go down to shape 5. Okay, so that would give you a major sound all up and down the neck, because we've established this is our home E chord, this is or E shape chord I should say, and then the shapes fall in that order up and down the neck, and you'll get a major sound. So when we play something like the Lydian scale, we then go, okay, this is going to be our home chord, and then the maps all kind of shift around. Our starting point becomes shape 3. So if we want to solo up and down the neck, if you want to go up the neck, so you'd start with shape 3 here, you'd go up to shape 4, shape 5, and then it would start back to shape 1 again. If you wanted to shift down, you'd be in shape 3, you'd go down to shape 2 and shape 1. So what happens is just a different, it's the same system, that they always fall in the same order, but you've kind of started in a different place. It's like you've shifted the map around. Imagine it as chunks that you move up and down the neck, rather than you moving the chord up and down. Imagine the map the chunks have shifted up and down. So if you wanted to get a Mixolydian sound here, you would start with shape 4. And then you'd move up to shape 5, and then you'd go to shape 1, or if you're in shape 4 here and you want to go down, you'd have to go down to shape 3. So the shapes always occur in the same order, but what's happened is you've just shifted the maps around. But for me, I find that starting with the E shape is probably the easiest starting point for my modal explorations, and start there and then start exploring, and then, you know, I might not even want to stay in that particular in the E shape. I might find something better or something that I like in one of the other shapes, but it's a good place to start. So I'll try and demonstrate this concept in true Blue Peter style. Here's an A drone I've prepared earlier. So I'm going to do what I did on the previous thing. So I'm going to start with major. So I'm going to want shape 1. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to shift down to shape 5. Now I'm going to shift up to shape 2. And now up to shape 3. Shape 4. Okay, shape 4, and then shape 5. And then that takes me all the way up to shape 1. Okay, so say I wanted a Lydian sound, so I'm going to start with shape 3. And I quite like shifting down to shape 2. Okay, so back to shape 3. And now I'm going to shift up to shape 1. Sorry, not shape 1, that was shape 3. 3, this will be shape 4. Shape 5. Oops, I got lost. Shape 3. Shape 4. Shape 1. Shape 2. And then back to shape 3. Okay, so I've got a little bit lost there because your maps can kind of get a little bit confused, and then you have to kind of find yourself. So what I ended up doing was go, okay, shape, recapping, shape 3, shape 4, okay, that's shape 5. And then I found my way again. But that's the kind of thing that happens once you start exploring modes. You can lose your way, but it's okay, you just got to find the map again. Okay, so let's go on to the mixed Lydian sound. So I'm going to start with shape 4. And then move up to the next shape, which will be shape 5. Okay, move up to the next shape, so we're going to be shape 1. Shape 2. Shape 3. Shape 4. So we're up the whole octave. So there you go. So that gives you a system that you can use to explore it. So I'm just going to turn the drone off. So that's basically the idea. I mean, that's how I conceptualize the map. I find my, E-shaped barcode as a starting point, choose the shape I want, whether it's going to, if it's major, it's going to be the first shape. Lydian, it's going to be the third shape. And then mixed Lydian would be the full shape, and then you just work your way up and down in sequence. The scale shapes are always in the sequence, same sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. You just start in a different place. When you're experimenting around this, it is fairly easy to get lost. These things do happen. I can talk about signposts and what have you to make things a bit easier, but I think when you're initially starting, it's just a good idea to record a drone, not get too caught up in it, and just get used to switching between the different scale shapes and let your ears guide you when you hit a note that you like. So what I'll do, I'm going to sign out. I'm going to just go through the same process and do it with the minor chord. So I'm going to quickly set up a drone and be A minor. Okay. That'll do. Okay, so A minor. So if I start with, let's start with the Dorian scale. So that is going to be shape 2. Pentatonic, always a good place to start. Okay, so this is shape 2. Okay, I'm going to shift down to shape 1. Now let's go up to shape 3. Shape 4. Okay, shape 5. And that takes me back up to shape 1. And then that's all the way to the octave, back up to shape 1, all the way right up. Oh, sorry, be shape 2 because we're in Dorian. Okay, so that's the Dorian scale. Let's do the same for the minor scale. Okay, so that is using shape 5. So let's go to shape 1. Okay, so that's shape 1, shape 2. And shape 3. Shape 3, shape 4. And then we're back up to shape 5, 1 octave up. Okay, so that's that one. And then our old friend, the Phrygian scale to finish up with. So this is going to be shape 3. And going down, I'm going to go to shape 2. So you can also move between the two shapes. Don't feel like you've got to get caught in one shape, but the more you practice this, the more you'll find different pathways between each shape, and that exercise that we looked at acts as a useful pathway. It's not just an exercise. Okay, so that was shape 3, so we need to get to shape 4. So I'm going, okay, I seem to have got myself slightly lost, so let's go back. Okay, so we're there going, okay, so that was shape 3, this is shape 4. Okay, shape 5. And then I guess shape 1 will be here. So there you go. So that is the basic procedure to play up and down the neck. So you choose your starting shape, and then you just go up in sequence. So if we were doing the minor scale, we'd start on shape 5, go up to shape 1, 2, etc., etc. Now, what you will find, and this is quite interesting, is there's certain shapes that fall more easily under your fingers. Doesn't matter which mode you're in. I mean, for me, shape 2 and shape 3 fall under my fingers really, really easily. So I would, make a point of trying to get to those positions and seeing if I can, find something cool there, because those shapes just seem to fit under the fingers easy, and I tend not to get as lost there. And it seems to be an approach that people take. As a guitar teacher, I've been had requests to do Queen, and Brian May's quite an interesting guitarist, because he uses the major scale a lot, and minor pentatonic or minor scales is default for many guitarists in rock. But what he will do is he won't start in position 1. He'll start in position 5 and skip. So the solo to Bohemian Rhapsody is a great example. Sorry, I'll do that again. So he starts in position 5, and he's playing the major scale, so it'd be here. So instead of starting off in position 1, he starts off in position 2, he skips over position 1 and he heads straight for position 2 and 3. And that gives him a major sound. I mean, when you learn these shapes, you think of them as more or less, minor shapes when you first learn them. But remember, all of these shapes can be used in, to express any of these modes. But that's, it's an interesting example. He hardly uses shape 1 for that scale, even though you can use that as a starting reference point. A lot of guitarists tend to find minor shapes fall under their fingers easier. So when they're playing a major solo, they'll just head for the relative minor shape, and they'll get a major sound, but with a much more familiar fingering. And then when he shifts up, he goes to 2 other shapes that I would think of as minor shapes, but he gets a major shape out of them, or major sound out of them. So so this is why it's worth knowing all of these shapes, because it gives you much more options for easier fingerings. And that's basically all I've got left to say on the matter. You just need to find your shape, figure out what shape number it is, and then go up and down sequentially and find patterns and areas of the neck that you like. And then this will come out in your soloing or compositions or what have you, or improvisations. So I think I've just got one more video to do after this about signposts, so how to try and avoid getting lost when you're improvising, but it does happen, and that's okay. It's part of the process. And I'll see you in the next and final video.